Some walking music.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thursday's Tech Bites. My name is Kirsten Stoner, and we have a very great session planned for you today. We are joined with Spectra Logic. We have Dave here from Spectra, and we also have Steve from Veeam here joining us in today's session. Dave, how are you doing today?
I am great. Thanks for having us on.
Of course. So, for those in the audience who might not be familiar with David, can you introduce yourself for us?
Absolutely. So my name is David Feller. I'm CTO of Spectra Logic, and we're out of Boulder, Colorado. So right in the heart, still snow on the mountaintops right behind us. Great place to be.
Wow, I am so happy that there's no snow in Ohio anymore. If I still had to deal with the snow, I don't know what I would do. Steve, and how are you doing today? Yum, that sounds good. I love a good lobster roll. And for those in the audience who might not know who you are, Steve, who are you? What do you do at Veeam? Awesome. Yeah, this is great. We have people from all over the states joining us today and presenting to our audience. And that means that we want to hear from where you guys are tuning in from. So be sure to let us know in the chat where you're watching from, whether you're in California, maybe you're in Spain, or maybe you're up in Canada. We want to know where you are watching from. So yeah, let's get started. Spectra Logic actually has the Veeam Ready qualification for Veeam Ready object with immutability, a Veeam Ready object with immutability and archive tier, as well as Veeam Ready tape, right? So who uses tape anymore? I bet you a lot of people still do. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to David and Steve to get us started.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for that. So it might be worth just 30 seconds if you guys are not intimately familiar with Spectra. That's really a great place to start. So we've been a partner with Veeam for years and years. Literally, I think we can effectively now say decades. We've been a storage target for Veeam, and we've been doing it with all kinds of products. We've deployed literally exabytes of storage all over the world. We're in 80 plus countries, and we've been serving flash, disk, and tape solutions as backup targets, as archive targets, and we've been doing that for a long time. Veeam is really a long-term partner of ours, and really one of the greatest backup clients that we service everywhere. It just, you know how this works. Almost every type of market, whether it's university, high performance computing, everybody's using Veeam, and we sit there as a great target for that. So we've been doing that for a long time. It might be worth just again, another 30 seconds on the history, and then we'll get into the fun stuff of what's new, what are the options, and how does it all fit together? Because I think the end result is how do I solve my problems now? It's both business continuity, long-term archive, what's available, and how does that work, and how does the combination of Veeam and Spectra really make it easy? But if we go back, Spectra has been offering NAS products and tape products, and again, we're 45 plus years old as a company, private company, Boulder, Colorado, great place to work, great place to be, deployed literally exabytes all over the world of combinations of NAS and tape. And Veeam, historically, it's really easy to do just direct backup. I just set up Veeam, I pointed at a NAS box or I pointed at a tape system, and it just flat works. And literally been doing that for decades. Over, the last 5 to 7 years, there's been this big push in the industry for object storage, and why. We'll talk about that if it's not clear to everybody on the call. There are some real great advantages to object storage, not just public cloud, but on-prem object storage. You get the advantages of scalability and object lock and air gap. Now, admittedly, we as a historic tape company make fun of the way people use the term air gap. The only real air gap is writing into a tape and taking that tape offline. That's the only real air gap. But other companies use that term to mean protected. And when we add things like object lock, it adds some protection. So we're in the middle of that. And as you mentioned a minute ago, we've got the Veeam ready classifications all the way across the board for pretty much all of the tiers, all of the direct tiers, and all of the scale up backup repository tiers. And we're really proud of that and the work that we've done, certainly with the qualification team, but with Steve, to really stay on top of, what's the latest, what's Veeam's plans on where they're headed. And there's new generations coming out. Veeam 13 is just about there, and so there's really exciting things coming. So Steve, maybe this is a great place to talk about object storage as it relates to Veeam and some of the work we've done together. Do you mind?
Object storage, as well as block and file, Black Pearl S3 for the capacity tier, and Black Pearl Deep Archive for the archive tier. And you don't see that, in many other solutions. So you can have a end-to-end Veeam Spectra solution.
Yeah, that's really cool. And what's great too is that all of these tiers have that Veeam Ready qualification, right? So if anybody's unfamiliar with the Veeam Ready qualification, this is just a way that Veeam can qualify our storage partners that they can, they meet the performance requirements and the performance standards for protecting your data. David, do you have anything else to add right there?
Well, I'll tell you, I love the way Veeam does these qualifications, and it really gives assurance to an end customer that they're not the first, right? That are trying to plug this storage into Veeam and hope that everything goes well. Veeam, this isn't easy to get through all of these qualifications, and that's a good thing. That means we're testing, not just speed, but reliability and how this works and all of the extra features. And Veeam's come up with some really cool things. The SOS API that gives some visibility into what's going on in an object store, all the way back up into the Veeam GUI. And so things like that give you assurance that not only will this work, but it's going to work really well. And so we're really proud of that work that we've done together. My guess is, though, not everybody on the call understands all of the intimate differences between all of the different tiers. And so we did a really simple chart. And since this is called Tech Bytes, we went just, instead of high level, we went one level deeper and thought, let's talk about this a little bit. What are those tiers? How do they work? Where do we fit in? Where's our specialty? And frankly, I'm happy to, if Veeam folks want my chart, you're welcome to use this, because I think this tells folks pretty good about how it all works together. So the first one on the left is just direct backup repository. So of course, we've got NAS products, we've got object disk, and we have for years had a direct backup to tape. So literally, you can plug a Veeam server directly into a tape library without anything in between, and it's one of very few companies on the planet that understand how to talk to tape directly. Now, the beauty of object storage and the scale-up backup repository concept here is that we can make this a lot easier by presenting both disk and tape as essentially an S3 target, as an object storage target. And that really makes life easy because Veeam takes care of all of the hassle of everything behind the scenes. So if we transfer over and say, let's really talk about a scale-up backup repository, there's the performance tier. And let's be honest, Veeam is not kind to the performance tier. You beat the crap out of that. And the requirements to fit into the performance tier are extra hard, right? It's the tier from which we use the term business continuity. If you want to get your stuff back, you want to get your VM back up and running in seconds, that's what you need. You need a performance tier with really high, I'll use the term IOPS, but it has to be relatively high performance. It usually is flash or at least high performance disk, and it feeds all the rest of the tiers. Then there's the capacity tier. The theory is it's usually lower cost, right? It's a storage that doesn't cost as much as the top front end performance tier. It's extended storage. You're going to move inactive backups to it. You're going to protect your performance tier with your capacity tier. Spectra has deployed a lot of capacity tier, and this is one of the places we really specialize, as well as the archive. And the archive is something that not everybody's using. And we're going to get into that in just a second. Why do I need that? That's my long-term storage. That's my triple redundant, full, I'm going to keep it forever. Or I've got a lawyer involved. We'll talk about lawyers here in a minute, but they're good and bad, right? In every organization, the lawyer says, I need a 15-year copy, or I need a 20-year copy, or I need to keep it on-prem. I need ownership of a copy. I need data governance. I need data sovereignty. All of a sudden, the archive layer makes a lot of sense. And you can, of course, send that to the public cloud. That's one of the options. But if you're going to keep something for a long period of time, and it's something you really need to own, well, there's other good options for that. And Spectra really specializes in, of course, all the direct backups, but in capacity and archive. So if you're trying to solve long-term storage, protecting your performance tier, or data governance kind of issues, because, and again, I love lawyers, but if a lawyer's breathing down your neck, all of a sudden, that's where the archive tier fits in. And that's where Spectra really specializes, is providing those services. And that archive tier is the lowest power, lowest cost, longest serving kind of a system. If you need systems out there, we'll show you in a minute what that actually looks like. But we literally have customers with the same equipment that have been using that for 20 years, the same equipment for 20 years. You can't say that of anything else in any other category. So that's a great place to start, and we'll talk about different ways to use that in a minute as well. The question then is, and we'll get into this a lot, what are you talking about? What is this thing that you're talking about? Is it a physical device? Is it cloud? Because I've got the public cloud. Why wouldn't I just use the public cloud? Because it is there. It's the thing that a lot of people like myself, I'm a CTO. A lot of CTOs come in and say, hey, I want to move everything to the public cloud, to an Amazon, to an Azure, to a Google, whatever it might be. It's a great choice if you started in the cloud. So if you start with trying to back up things that are in the cloud, Microsoft 365 or whatever, Veeam has some excellent choices on what to do with that. And I'm going to go and back it up to a public cloud or the Veeam data cloud. So there's some great choices for that. If I start with on-premise, usually it's lower cost, it's more it's better for longevity if I just store it on-prem. And we talked about lawyers. So, we all have lawyers in our company, and they're there. We all make fun of them, right? Oh, they make my life hard. But let's be honest, they're there to protect us. They're there to make sure that we don't lose the data, we don't get sued, we don't get into a problem where somebody needs the data back, 15 years from now, and I have to tell a court that I don't have it. So if we're talking about that, I really need long-term preservation of that data. I need air gap. I need, all those great terms you hear, data governance, that sort of thing. So what is this archive layer? And, we've kind of avoided using the word up to this point, but we make some incredible systems that are a combination of flash, disk, and tape. But the archive layer in bulk is usually a tape repository of some sort. Now, what's really interesting, most people don't know, is it's just as integrated with the Veeam system. We've got all the same Veeam-ready qualifications to present a tape library as object storage, but it's a lot faster than most people are aware of. A lot of these systems can go, many gigabytes per second. They're faster, they're lower cost by at least 60-70%, and they save 85 to 90% of power over any other storage solution. So if you're power conscious, if you're eco conscious, if you're cost conscious, this really is a good way to go, and they really do last a long time. That particular device, we've got one that holds roughly 1,000 tapes. The details don't matter, and we're going to shy away from all of that. But literally, we've got customers that have had the same unit in their data center for over 20 years. So this is a great long-term investment.
Wow, that is crazy. Over 20 years. I was trying to think of some sort of joke about, that's longer than I've been alive, but it's shorter than I've been alive. I've been alive longer than that. But I have heard from our producers here that the map is ready. So let's go ahead and see where people are tuning in from. So in North America, we have California, Florida, and Houston, Texas, as well as Mexico City. Welcome, guys. Thanks for tuning in with us today. If we go over to Europe, we have Portugal joining us. Hello, thank you for joining. And in South America, we have, South Africa is actually in Africa, not South America, but that's just a back end miscommunication there. I wish I would have read ahead. But welcome, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in from where you are, and keep those chat entries coming in, and also with your questions. Definitely want to hear from you. So let's get back to the discussion. What else do you guys have for us today?
Yeah, luckily they have that in the name that gives it away, don't they? The South America.
I know, South America,
Africa.
South Africa. Yeah, I was in South Africa once years ago. It was a beautiful, beautiful time that I had there.
Cool. So I think the logical question is, how hard is this? What is this? And a lot of folks, and we'll get into this in the very next slide, but there's a brand new thing that we just launched this year that I think is pretty exciting. We get to this point in any conversation and people go, "Oh, I want all that. I want the lower cost. I want the lower power. I want the simplicity of the Veeam integration." But that's a different technology. That's a hassle. I don't really want to stand that up in my data center. Isn't it easier? Can't I just put a big disk system in? Or is there a different way around this? Because I just don't want to deal with tape. So there is a new option here, and we just launched this year what we call tape as a service. So you got a lot of different options here. Of course, the deep, we'll call it glacier class of storage that's out there, you can imagine that probably is tape in a public cloud, and you're just going to pay dollars per gigabyte to save it off to some deep storage. But you pay that every month, whether you touch it or not. And if you get it back, you know how that works at all the big public cloud guys. If I have to do a restore, you're going to pay a pretty penny to get it back, with the exception of the Veeam Data Cloud. But all the rest of them, you pay a pretty nice fee. And then your option is, I'm going to stand this up in my data center. I'll pick out 4 tiles and I'm going to put a tape library there. Now it might be a big one that holds many, many petabytes, but it's still something you have to deal with. So that might be a good option for folks. There is another option, and the other option is we're deploying these object-based tape solutions all over the world in MSPs and partner MSPs, and you can essentially rent them. You rent tapes that actually belong to you. So as opposed to the public cloud where everything just gets mashed together and you're part of one big repository, you literally get what's called a cloud tape library. And we partnered with a company called Geyser. You're welcome to take a look. It's geyserdata.com. And you can actually sign up and you rent a certain number of tapes. And if any time you want it back, you push a button and they'll mail those tapes to you. So you really do own that storage in a way that you can't with public cloud. And we think that's really exciting and a new vector that could get people really excited about how it all works together. So that's pretty much the details. What does a tape repository look like? And we always start with half the people on the call go, oh, wait a minute, didn't tape die back in the 1970s? And Steve and I were actually joking yesterday. We both only hope to live as long as the longevity of tape, because it continues to go very well. The beauty of this is by presenting it as an object store to companies like Veeam, we get rid of all of everything that you think of that is a hassle, or what do I have to know about tape? Do I need to understand it? It just gets hidden behind this S3 interface, and it makes it very, very simple. You get all of the SOS API features, you get all the object lock, and because of that, there's been this explosion in bringing things back from the public cloud. So Steve and I both have stories of customers that, people like me, CTOs come in and go, hey, I don't really care about anything. We're moving to the cloud. Buckle your seatbelts, hold my beer, whatever we're going to the cloud as fast as we possibly can go. And then about 2 years later, they start getting the big bills. And somebody somewhere in some department did this really big restore and cost them a lot of money, and there's a surprise. So there's all these things that happen. We've got a couple of customers that went all in on public cloud. Like when I say all in, close data centers, move it all away, back up everything to the cloud, move all of my archives there. And they're spending literally millions of dollars monthly. And now how do I get it back? And systems like this are designed to not just give you that cost option, but help you get things back really efficiently. And so, do you know what the latest LTO specs are? My position is you don't need to know. I'm happy to tell you, we're happy to come in and do speeds and feeds, but because it's an object store, we take care of all of that. What you need to know is this is a really efficient system. You can put, upwards of 50 petabytes in a single rack. It can ingest petabytes per day if you're at that scale. It's like a big Glacier class S3 USB stick. That's what we try to present, and that's the whole purpose of the Veeam Ready qualification. Is it just works. You plug it in, it shows up in the Veeam interface. You want to do an archive? Yeah. What do you want your grandfather, father, son archive to look like in the archive space? Cool. Push that button in Veeam. How do you want your capacity tier to back up your performance tier? No problem. There's checkboxes for that in the Veeam interface. Once you've set it up, it's a fire and forget, and it just flat works together. So that's Spectra's job, is to protect the data, give you business continuity, give you really good long-term protection of your data, and do it in a way that's just really simple. So Steve and I are both here to help and make this easy for you. I've got solutions architects all over the world, and Steve has counterparts all over the world. We love architecting systems like this and making it easy for customers. So that's what we do.
Awesome. I was thinking in my head when you were talking about tape is dead, right? If I had $1 every time someone said tape is dead since I started working, in the backup industry, I probably wouldn't even need to work anymore because it's not dead. And we always said, like, you hear it all the time. And it's just one of those, every time you hear it, it puts a smile to your face because you're like, nope, it's not dead. It's not dead yet.
There were actual bumper stickers for a while of tape is dead, and I put them up on my wall, and they're still there, and we do pretty well. We
Yeah.
ship exabytes, regularly out of here with tape, small to large, and so it's an interesting business, and it's a great way to protect long-term data. So.
Yeah, you guys kind of have the all-encompassing solution, right? You have the performance tier, you can use your object storage, right? You have your capacity tier, you can use object storage, and then you can use the archive tier, the tape. And a lot of times people use the archive tier because they don't have to access that data frequently. It's just really there for any type of regulation or for compliance. So they might not have to access it all the time. So I really loved learning more about, Spectra storage solutions and how they're cost effective, they're scalable, and and most importantly, secure, right? So I do have in here that we have some map entries that came in a little bit later. We have some people joining us from Germany as well as Thailand. So welcome, guys. Thanks for tuning in here. Appreciate you. Thailand, I think it's actually maybe midnight in Thailand. So you are truly one of a kind, learning all about what we're giving you today. So before we go here, we do have some announcements. So next week, Industry Insights will be returning Tuesday, May 27th. Leah and Aaron will be back talking about leading through disruption, data resilience for business continuity. So that's definitely going to be a show you don't want to miss. And David, thanks so much for joining us today. And
Absolutely.
Steve,
It was an honor.
yeah, Steve, also thank you again for taking the time.
Anytime.
Awesome. And thank you all for joining our session. And I hope to see you on our next session next week.